Oh, what's up, y'all? I'm your host, Duane Dixon. And I don't know if you're listening on any particular platform or watching me on YouTube, but I'm so happy to have you, and I want to welcome you to my show, Success of a Nation. And this is basically a show that deals specifically with entrepreneurship. We're going to talk to business leaders and thought leaders. Basically just putting black excellence on full display. So I'll also get into on this first episode exactly why I feel I'm qualified. Number one, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So we'll tackle that. My background deals primarily with music, real estate, and film. So, without further ado, I guess we'll just, get started, and I can give you a little background on myself and, again, why I feel I'm qualified and what led me to this point and doing a show like this. So again, my name is Duane Dixon, and you're watching Success of a Nation. It's a show about entrepreneurship, and me being an entrepreneur myself, it is something that's near and dear to me. So I thought, why not? My background, as I said before, is and started in music, although I had other businesses prior to. My first love was the business of music, and anything really that involved music. I started out as a vocalist. I then became a producer and eventually got into the business side of things. So as a vocalist, they would always sort of nudge me to the front, when it came to negotiating for studio time, or whether it was negotiating for the rate in a club that we were performing in or they were performing in, whatever the case may be. And eventually, I just sort of grew tired of the, please listen to my demo routine, and just started getting more involved in the business side of things. I desperately wanted to work with Face, LA and Face. I even remember moving to Norcross with the hopes of, doing something with them. So I literally lived like 2 minutes away from their offices when they were located here in Atlanta. And that nevertheless never materialized, but I went on to get production deals and negotiate publishing deals for producers. And I remember this one instance where I went to New York and I was meeting someone in publishing at Universal. Now, she had been to another company prior to coming to Universal. I won't say her name because, that it didn't necessarily end favorably. But I'm at Universal. I'm in the lobby, and this woman that I had a rapport with sends her secretary out to tell me, she ain't coming out. So, I had spent my own money, gone through all the proper channels, and still got played. She left me in the lobby. So I leave and I go back to the neighborhood. All the fellas in the hood are waiting for me. And the whole barbershop is like, so what happened? And I had to tell them, I said, She played me, man. She left me in the lobby. And they like, what? The whole barbershop erupts. And a couple of them cats in there are real dudes. So those are the ones who are really coming at me now. Well, what did you do? So what do you mean? What did I do? I left, man. I ain't do nothing, man. You mean to tell me you didn't knock nobody out? You didn't do anything? You didn't? I know Universal got all them plaques on the wall. You didn't rip them plaques off the wall? Like, nah, man. I mean, I guess the one good thing came of it. I leveraged the fact that I was upstairs at Universal to get Kadar to see me since I was already in the building. Kadar was the president of Motown at the time. And I, leveraged the meeting with him, but nah. And they just couldn't believe it. They just, and keep in mind, like I said, these some real dudes. One of them had a discrepancy with, well, I won't say the label, but long story short, they went in and shot up the label. So this is who I'm talking to. So this is why they're just so outdone with the fact that I just walked out calmly, So through all my experiences in music, sort of freelancing for myself, I eventually took all of that experience and became the president of a label again in New York. Big shout out to TG, Tommy Garrett. What's up, big dog? Became the president of a label and really started getting some traction with our artists. And from that, I was hoping to build on that. And, of course, we had these aspirations of grandeur, and we were hoping for bigger and better things. But at the same time, I was dealing with the house back in Atlanta. And me and my wife, she was just not happy about me being there in New York. I did everything I could. I was sending round trip tickets. Me and my son, we're going to see The Lion King on Broadway. There was a local branch close to where I lived, a Chase. Our mortgage was through Chase at the time, so I wouldn't just pay the month's mortgage. I'd pay several months' mortgages, all with the intention of trying to stay and do my thing. And one day she puts my son on the phone, and she still doesn't admit to this, but one day I can hear he's a little upset. So I'm like, what's up, little man? Talk to daddy. What's going on? And he proceeds to tell me that he prayed to God for me to come back home, but God obviously doesn't love him because he's not answering his prayers. I'm like, oh, girl, you wrong for this one, girl. You dead wrong for this. I talked to him a little bit more, but his grades were dropping. He just wasn't, where he should have been. And I guess in retrospect, neither was I. So long story short, I eventually came back to Atlanta, and I was licking my wounds and, trying to figure out what I was going to do next, and then real estate fell in my lap. I met a mentor, big shout out to Wayman. I met my mentor, and We've continued to do deals. We continue to do deals throughout the years, but my first deal was a house in and around the AU Center, and I made $28,000. And from that point forward, real estate changed the entire trajectory of my family's life. My kids, raised in the swimming tennis communities with the lakes and so on and so forth, and the best schools with the highest SAT scores, and as a result of that, they've gone on to do great things themselves. They're both entrepreneurs today. My daughter graduated from Emory just a month or so ago, so I'm extremely proud of both of them. With the money I made in real estate, and there's also something I want to point out also. She went to Emory, a predominantly white institution, PWI, and HBCUs have really been on the forefront lately. And with me having a show dedicated to Black excellence and supporting the Black community and all that entails, that's a subject that I know is going to come up eventually. We're gonna tackle that one as well, because I do have mixed feelings about that. My daughter went to Emory, but at the same time, I'll be doing some things working directly with HBCUs. So how does that work? And what does that really mean? So that's going to be a subject that we're sure to tackle going forward. But nevertheless, the monies that I made in real estate have allowed me to now get into film. And as it stands, I've got 3 films under my belt. I'm the writer, producer, director, and I even starred in a couple of them. So film has really been something that I've really enjoyed. I've always loved entertainment, started off in music, and have now come full circle. So that's going to be another industry that we talk about. So I'm really looking forward to that. Other industries. I've got a lot of interest, but what also plays a part in my decision making in terms of what spaces we'll talk about is also the fact that we are not included in these spaces. Finance, that's number one. Financial literacy has become a very hot topic, as I said before, and that is something that I want to put front and center, because I think we as a community need more of it. The venture capital space, and that's basically where venture capitalists or private equity investors invest capital in small emerging companies with the hopes that they become Facebooks and Ubers of the world. So that is another space that we'll be discussing. I know people know the household names like, say, a Nas or something like that. Even Kevin Durant recently made money off a Coinbase deal. And we always know the entertainers, is my point. We know the Chameleons and the E40s and Kevin Durant. And there's a couple of others that escape me right now, but those guys are fine, and big ups to them, of course. But I want to make some of the other people who are making major moves in that space who are not as well known because they weren't household names to begin with. Troy Carter is one guy who I've been following for years. I just love what he's done and what he's managed to accomplish. Arlen Hamilton, she's the sister that is making big strides in that space, and she's providing a means for other women in particular to, and she's funding their businesses. So that's to be commended. And, she's been on my radar for quite some time as well. So I'm looking at those types of people who, again, who didn't have the name of a Nas, but are making just as much of an impact. So yeah, really, really interested in that space. So we'll delve into that. One of the another point I'll leave you with is the fact that only 1% of there's only 1% of all the venture capitalists. Only 1% of them are black. 1%. And the same holds true for the companies that have access to the capital. 1% of those companies are black. With dismal numbers like that, I feel compelled to want to put that topic and industry front and center so that we can discuss that. And more importantly, the old adage comes to mind, if you see it, you can be it. I want to put those people front and center and amplify their voices and let others know about them, whether you have an interest on getting into this space or not. I just think it's important just knowing that we're here. So that's one of the reasons why I'll be focusing on that going forward. STEM, that's another area: science, technology, engineering, and math. Once again, we see the landscape of our society. We see how everything is technology based. Yet, at any of the major companies in technology, we have a very, very small representation. Namely, Facebook comes to mind. I think they've tried to make some strides, but as much as they've tried to do, black people only make 4% of that particular company. In terms of employment, we only have a 4% employment rate at Facebook. Jack Dorsey is known for being a more progressive CEO. He is the co-owner and co-founder of Twitter and Square. And Jack Dorsey, being more progressive, and he really is, he just recently bought into Tidal, $300 million with Jay-Z, 6% at Twitter. And he's progressive. So these are clearly numbers that we need to change, particularly with the fact that the world is going in that direction. I don't want us as a community to be left behind. So there's your reasoning right there. There's my reason for, that being on the radar. I got my little notes right here just to kind of keep me on task. Next thing is being here in Atlanta and my love for this city. I really do love Atlanta. My love for the city in turn makes me want to specifically cater to and focus on entrepreneurs and business leaders here in Atlanta. I think that's so important for so many reasons. And I can't wait to start reaching out and networking more with those people as I have them come on the show. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. I think their voices need to be amplified, and I'm just the one to do it. So, there you have it. Lastly, I think I'm going to try and designate a day. And I know I want to cover so much, but designate a day for issues that impact our community. And when I say that, I'm talking about most recently. Well, no, I can't even say most recently. They all impact. Voter suppression comes to mind because of everything that we've been experiencing with that. And these folks doing whatever they can to limit your ability to vote as a minority. I think it's insidious. I think well, no, it's treacherous. Insidious is a slow burn. It's kind of no, they not ain't nothing slow about them. They are treacherous. It's just without a doubt they're coming for your neck, and then unapologetic about it. So while we've made great strides, now it's illegal to bring an old lady who's been standing in line because they closed all the other polls purposely to make the line an 8-hour line. She's been standing in line to exert her voting rights, and now it's illegal to bring her a bottle of water. And it goes on and on. Let's see, people get off at 5 o'clock. I know. We'll close the polls at 5. Treacherous. So we'll talk about that. Disparities in education, disparities in employment, over criminalization, and one I never saw coming was the maternal mortality rate in our community specifically. I never saw it coming. I say that because it's affected my family personally, where my sister Kira died for that very reason, giving birth to my nephew Langston. And, our family has still not recovered. I have still not recovered. And the more I think about it, the more that probably won't be an issue that I discuss right now, just simply because I want to be able to get through the damn podcast. So maybe not on that one, but certainly it is an issue that has affected our community greatly. Big shout out to Charles Johnson, who spearheaded an entire campaign centered on that very topic, and dealing with my sister's passing. So that was definitely a phenomenal thing and job that he's done. So having said that, I think I've pretty much covered who I am, the reason for me being here, and I can't wait to get started and get, delve into some things. So definitely stay tuned, and we're going to go from there. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Duane Dixon. And again, this is Success of a Nation.